That's all right. We'll have time for that. It's a different one from yesterday, right? Great. All right.
You're listening to The Pete Shepherd Show.
To another edition of the Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. How are you doing today on this freaky Friday, man? Enjoy that game last night? Just snooze through it. Does anybody understand the new kickoff rule? I'm going to get you more confused. I don't think Joe Buck and Troy Aikman fully understood it either. I know I kind of didn't, even when they broke it down before the game started last night, the Hall of Fame game. What a thriller last night. Bears 21, Houston 17. Ho hum. But you know what? It was football. It was football. So we are glad that football is back. And the Hall of Fame game got delayed at one point because of weather. But I'm not going to sit there and break everything down. We'll get some sound before, during, and after with the NFL Hall of Fame stuff. We'll get some NFL news. MLB news. Mike Trout is out once again for the rest of the year. What a shock. This guy, one of the biggest stars over the last 20 years in baseball, and I say it all the time, if the man walked down the street in most cities and towns in America, nobody would know who he is. Nobody. So we got some baseball news. We got some college football news as well, an MLB rundown, and lots more. Not a lot of MLB action yesterday, but nevertheless, we do have some. So the phone number and the video platform here. The phone number is always 727-858-6650. That's the number to call. The Coastal Sports Network video platform is freaking awesome. You can follow me on Twitter X at pshep326, on Facebook, of course, on sr1029thegame.com. Unbelievable webpage. Everything is there. Angel will explain further as he continues to just class up the joint, as they say. We are powered by Ion TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. I'm getting a lot of action on Rumble lately. Again, call or text 727-858-6650. Got some interesting video for you today. Some fun stuff. Jerry Thornton, Barstool Sports, my lone guest today. He will join me at 8:30. Find out if he saw Deadpool and Wolverine like I did last Saturday. And if not, I'm sure there's a lot. He's been at Patriots camp. We'll talk about that. The Matthew Judon issue seems to be resolved. So that's a good thing. And we'll get into more NFL news as well. We'll hear from a lot of campsites like we did yesterday. And with that, we say good morning to Angel Martinez, executive producer and co-host and host extraordinaire. Good morning, Angel. How you be?
I be tired, but I hear. That's what I do. It's already friggin' steamy outside, although we don't expect anything less because it is time of year. But
heat index again is going to be around 111 today.
Yeah.
So already, actually, I went for about a mile walk yesterday after the show, and it wasn't too bad, but you can't. It's there. And I know the Northeast is getting it too, so it's not just here. And I'm not sure about the Midwest and the West Coast, and of course, we're worldwide, Angel, as we mentioned, all the new countries, including India and Pakistan, that joined us lately. But the heat index is off the chart in not obviously in Florida, down here in Southwest Florida, where you are in Tampa, and in the Northeast, it's not good. Yesterday, and I tweeted out a video on Fort Myers Beach yesterday. It was because it was one of those days. We talk about it all the time, Angel. It was dark on this side of the house, and the sun was out on this side of the house. And Fort Myers Beach, as if they've hadn't gone through enough already, they got whacked yesterday for about an hour with 48-mile-an-hour gusts and pea-sized hail.
Oof.
And it was brutal. Matt Devitt down here does a great job. One of the best meteorologists from Winker News down here put the video out there. I thought I retweeted it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. I thought I did. I guess I didn't. But it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Covers flying off boats and everything else, and they're just getting back, recovering after the last hurricane, and doing a great job. It's amazing what's going on at Fort Myers Beach over the last just 6 months alone. That's the last thing we need over there. Again, is more pea-sized hail. The rain and the wind you can kind of hail. Pea-sized hail can be damaging. But anyway, how was the weather up your way yesterday afternoon?
We didn't get, yes, we were supposed to get a pretty rough kind of weather maker this time of year, which we know, but we got it. And it's just like you said, in the front part of the house, we end up getting the rain coming down like kind of like in a fire hose type deal. In the backside, about maybe, I don't know, 100 yards away from the house, you can see all the thunderous lightning and everything else. But we end up getting a ton of rain. What we're looking at, apparently, for all of us here in the state of Florida, is Sunday into Monday, the rainmaker that's about to happen. The Invest 97L, whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, it's going to be a washout for us. There's no doubt about it. Down here, we're going to have, so it's going to be one of those days. I'll probably make a sauce that takes a good 6 or 7 hours. One of those days when it rains like that. That's what I like to do, make a homemade sauce. And maybe make some homemade pasta too. The homemade pasta, see, the thing with homemade pasta, you got to cook it right away. I mean, you can freeze it if you want, but so I'll probably just do something. I made a nice sauce last week, and I'll do it again this week. But there's not much else you can do because we're gonna get it. I've already decided. I saw the weather forecast today. You see that tropical depression going through, just missed Cuba badly, but Turks and Caicos got it, and that's part of it. That's coming this way. So at least from you guys, from Tampa down to where we are, obviously the Keys, we're going to get whacked this weekend. Pretty good storm. So batten down the hatchets, baby. Batten down the hatchets, but that's all right. It'll give us some quality time with your respective spouses and girlfriends or boyfriends, whatever it is out there. If you are in Florida, most of the state will be a washout for the weekend and into Tuesday, actually, right? Monday, I think Sunday, Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of rain for the next couple of days. I mean, it's needed here. I rather have a rainmaker than the hurricane for sure, but it's needed because you figure I mean, look how long we went without. Well, you guys been getting a lot more rain than we have, but after the hurricane last year, we went, what was it, 9 months, 10 months without a drop of rain. So everything around here dried up. It's definitely needed. I don't mind it. If it rains, all right, whatever. It's kind of.
Oh no, I don't mind it. We don't mind it because we live here. It's full. We get enough beautiful days most of the time. I don't care when it rains. But you got people who are either visiting family and friends, and not that this is prime vacation time. In fact, it's down here in Florida. It's going to be back to school next week, I believe, for a lot of communities. But the people that come down here. And it doesn't matter. They want their beach time. They want their pool time. They want their golf time. And man, God damn it, we're going to get it one way or the other. But no, you're not. Not when there's pea-sized hail coming down on Fort Myers Beach. You're not going to get anything except a headache or a trip to the hospital. So it's not so much. I mean, it's not really tourist season down here right now. But it will be soon in a couple of months, which means more traffic and a lot more people once again. But you know what? It's good for the economy. All right. If I may, Angel, last night, I want to know, I really want to know, I should have put a poll question. I got to start doing poll questions more every single day, Angel, because they get a lot of traction for us. And I got to get back into that. I got to get I got to get the whiteboard, put it right in front of me, poll question. But I want to know from you guys today how you feel about the new NFL quote unquote dynamic kickoff rule. If we could scroll down to the ESPN last night. Now you tell me, Angel, if Joe Buck and Troy Aikman understand this graphic at all.
Oh boy.
It's absolutely hysterical. I mean, I've read the kickoff rule to you guys earlier this week, but you have to kind of see it to believe it. It's still kind of goofy to me. I don't like it. I really don't. But here's how it was explained last night on ESPN right before the Bears and the Astros, the Texans kicked off in Canton for the Hall of Fame game.
have seen in the NFL. Teams kick off from the 35. The 10 players in the kicking team start at the opponent's 40. At least 9 receiving team players must be in the setup zone between their own 30 and 35. Play begins when the ball's touched or hits the ground in the end zone or landing zone, the area between the receiving team's goal line and the 20. Touchbacks that land in the end zone are brought out to the 30. Touchbacks that roll into the end zone from the landing zone are brought out to the 20. You got all that? We're going to hang on for dear life tonight, but man, is it going to be fun to watch this unfold. Have seen in the NFL.
What?
Yeah.
Can you repeat that, please? What? Oh, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get it, Angel. And if we could go right away to Total Sports Prep. The first cut at the Hall of Fame game. It's Hall of Famer Devin Hester. You remember him? He loves this. This is from CBS Sports, but he absolutely loves the new dynamic kickoff. Thinks it's going to be great for return specialists. I don't, but he does. Who am I to disagree with a Hall of Famer, right?
Yep.
Wrong. But,
First of all, I feel like it will bring life back into the returning game. I feel like it would open up more doors. You're going to start seeing guys get recruited as returners and be their main focal point. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I know a guy like me, I would love to be in this situation.
all right, and right under that, Hall of Famer Julius Peppers on his thoughts of these ridiculous dynamic kickoff rule.
This is Julius Peppers, and I'm breaking down the dynamic kickoff. Kickoff and kickoff return was probably the most violent part of the game. I think it's going to protect the players from some of those collisions, and I think they do a good job of trying to advance the game by changing the rules to protect the players. I think it gives the special team coordinators a little bit more ways to create plays and create blocking schemes, because now it's kind of like a regular play because the guys are so much closer to each other. I know Devin, he would have excelled in this because you get to design plays for them now instead of, he was doing this thing freestyling, but now he probably would have excelled even more so. I'm eager to see it.
Well, you saw it last night. I wasn't overly impressed. I just don't like it. There's too many things. It's too complicated. I know it's only on a trial basis. Rick says the only thing I liked football related was the pregame with Jason Kelsey, the story about bringing a gold jacket to Steve McMichael at his home. Yeah. And then his wife came out to accept for him. Yeah, that was a pretty cool story. Angel, I can't see you again.
Hold on.
Yep. Processing. Beam Angel aboard. Need more power, Scott. There you are. So I don't know how much of the game you watched last night. I watched most of the first half, and it was just, it was football. So I was glad to see football back. I don't know how much you watched, and you're not going to learn a whole heck of a lot. It was just a lot of vanilla stuff, some interesting plays. But we'll give you some of the highlights here from the Hall of Fame game and some of the let's see. If we could scroll down to cut number 4, let's stick with Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney shares that his famed spin move was inspired in part by this. We'll let him tell you about it.
You're known for being this incredible sack artist, but the signature spin move is something that gives offensive linemen nightmares all across the board. How did you come up with that?
It's a funny story. I used to be a big and one mixtape person. I loved it back in the 90s. Some people know about it and some people don't. But I wanted to make offensive players, offensive tackles look as silly as possible. So I tried to figure out how I could do that. And that's how the spin got created on the practice field in Bloomfield, Connecticut.
We love a Bloomfield, Connecticut shout out. What was your...
Yeah, great. And then, of course, the game never got finished last night. Here is Joe Buck with that call in the third quarter.
Yes, Mother Nature had other plans for the end of the game tonight. It is a 21-17 final, I guess, and the Bears will walk out of here with a 4-point win from the NFL. Severe weather has resulted in the termination of tonight's game. The decision was made by the NFL in New York in consultation with local public safety officials.
Yep. So there you have it. there you have it. It's not the first time this has happened. I mean, we saw this exhibition game, this Hall of Fame game. Remember a few years ago, Angel, because the paint wasn't right in the end zone. Whatever it did, they screwed it up, and it was unsafe. The field was unsafe to play. So they've had some issues with this game in the past, besides the weather. But they did the right thing, and why you're not going to feel bad for some of the fans. God knows what they paid to get into that game. Some of them, anyway. But at the final, 21-17, if you bet the over, you won. And I'm not sure. I'm sure the Bears are favored by 2.5. They win by 4. So I don't know. Whatever. I did not touch the game. I just want it. Just I'm wondering how the payouts. I'm sure they got to, because there's that rule if it goes to a certain amount, and I think this qualifies. Although I'm not sure. It might be 3 quarters in the NFL. It's not like in Major League Baseball where it's 4.5 innings.
Right.
It's an official game. I think from a betting standpoint, I believe it has to go 3 quarters for you to get a payout. So you probably just got your money back. And I'm sure if you had the Bears minus 2.5 and they're up by 4, you're probably a little upset that you're not going to get any money back. But that's at least you'll get your money back. You're just not going to get your winning percentage out of it. All right, just a couple of highlights from in case you missed it. Here's one. The Bears' first highlight there. That's just, I'm not going to play in any particular order. Here's Brett Rippon, a 20-yard pass touchdown to Colin Johnson in the second quarter.
Trying to run the football, and I don't think they're going to stray too far from that this year either.
Wide open for a touchdown. It's Colin Johnson. Practice squad player last year, and a touchdown throw from Brett Rippon to put the Bears on the scoreboard.
Well, this is a nice route. You're going to see defenders. They're looking into the backfield, and you've got Rippon knowing exactly where he's going with the ball. I mean, that's just a good setup. They've been running.
Yeah, thanks to ESPN again. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman with the call. And let's see. The next cut also, Brett Rippon, another 22-yard pass this time to Tommy Sweeney. This was in the second quarter.
He's thrown some good balls.
Rippon end zone. Touchdown Chicago. Tommy Sweeney. And Rippon celebrates on his way down the field. A 22-yard touchdown strike to Tommy Sweeney.
Well, Tommy Sweeney, you're going to see him right here. He does an excellent job. It's a stick and go like we saw earlier, and just a lot of blown coverages and not carrying the tight end up.
Yeah, in the game, Case Keenum had a 4-yard touchdown pass as well to Cam Akers, and but it was a ho-hum game. It was just good to see football. If we could scroll down a little bit, Angel, on the Bears side to Matt Eberflus, and he talks about the new kickoff rule. It's like the third to last cut under the Bears. Matt Eberflus talking about the new kickoff rule on the Bears.
First look at the new kickoff. What did you think in general? What did you think of the return?
I say kickoff team wins today, right? I mean, they had the ball in the 20 a couple times, maybe 26 a couple times. So it was good by the cover teams. I thought that the return team struggled a little bit staying on blocks. It looked like to me. I'll go back and look at the tape, but that's what I saw on the field.
Yep, and also the next cut after that, Eberflus says NFL had a plan in place before the game started in case of the bad weather.
They put us in there and said, hey, we're going to do 30 minutes, and then we'll let you know. And they knew the weather was coming in. They told us before the game. So they had a plan in place to watch it, because you never know how bad it's going to be in terms of the lightning and the severity of it. And it was severe enough where they called it, and they made a good call.
And next cut after that, Angel, Matt Eberflus once again said they're still trying to figure out, like the rest of us, the new kickoff.
You guys just cautious not to reveal too much about what you're going to do with that as you are with your offense and defensive scheme in preseason games?
I think it's both. I think it's both. You're going to try to do that a little bit, but man, we're trying to figure this thing out. So it's like you have to figure it out. Like, hey, what is it going to look like? So we've tried different things on the return team and different way to attack on the cover team and putting different bodies in different spots. So we're really just trying to figure it out. And I think that's where all coaches are. We're just trying to figure it out and do the best thing we can. And that's going to be ongoing through the whole season, because like anything else, you see things that are starting to work, you'll see it more and more and more, and then people will catch up to it, and then you'll have to adjust.
All right, if we could scroll down, Angel, to that was Matt Eberflus. The Texans, part of it. If we could scroll down to DeMarco Ryans and how special the Hall of Fame game and getting to see Andre Johnson inducted was.
Yeah, this is really special for us as an organization to be here and support Andre with his enshrinement into the Hall of Fame. Seeing him there pregame, it starts to set in a little bit more like it's about to happen. So excited for Andre. Couldn't be more happier. Couldn't be another guy more deserving than Andre being the first Houston Texan to go into football heaven, right? To go into the Hall of Fame, all right, to get his bus here in Canton. Very special moment for Dre. And I know I'm just so happy just to be here to support Andre in his enshrinement. And it's a special weekend for all of us.
Yep. And after that, right, the cut right below that, DeMarco Ryans on what he expected from the Hall of Fame game.
In these games, I just look for guys to go out and execute their job. And that's always, it shows who can play when the lights are on. And guys aren't overthinking. They can go out and play fast, and they can execute what we've been asking them to do. Right? Not doing a lot offensively or on defense, but we just want to see who can go out and just play. And that's what you see. Some guys step up in these moments, and some guys have a longer way to go. But you learn from it, and you build from it, and you see how guys, where they start. It's not about where they start, it's about how they show up next week. So what I'm most excited to see is how guys show up the following week.
All right, so there you have it right there. Also, the couple of that, Angel, Browns, Dante Foreman was taken to the hospital with a neck injury in practice. And here is the Browns providing a positive update. This is from NFL Network.
Yes, with the Cleveland Browns, he was airlifted. He was immobilized after taking a shot to the head that resulted in a neck injury and taken to the hospital. We can now tell you that he will be released from the hospital in Roanoke this afternoon, according to the team. So that is great news. X-rays and CT scans on D'Onta Foreman after that injury, both negative. And again, negative is a positive in this situation. D'Onta Foreman, you see him there, the work that he did with the Chicago Bears, now with the Cleveland Browns, released from the hospital, or at least will be released from the hospital this afternoon. Really encouraging news with how scary that situation looked at first, Mike.
Yeah, it really was. So that's absolutely great news. Meanwhile, Angel, on my Twitter account, second one down on ML Football. Speaking of the Bears, former NFL star Amani Toomer, he is not real thrilled with rookie quarterback Caleb Williams of the Bears after telling his teammates to clean up the locker room. Check out this video as well. This is
no wonder.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, apparently that's why there was a lot of side eyes last night. This will probably explain it.
NFL locker rooms are still male-dominated, testosterone-laden, type A places where it really is Lord of the Flies. And this is just part of the growing up period for a quarterback who wants to be a great leader one day.
He's Russell Wilson 2.0.
Uh-oh.
This is not going to go over well. I mean, if you came in the locker room, I've been in this locker room for 8 years, like you said. And you're some rookie's going to come in who hasn't played one snap.
Right.
Talking, we're wearing the fingernail polish. Now he's going to come in here and tell me, who've been here, who've been through the struggle, that I need to clean up? No, how about rookie? How about you clean up after me?
Right.
How about that? Don't give me this crap. I don't like it at all. I feel like rookies should earn their respect.
Sure.
Just because you got drafted number one doesn't mean nothing to me because I don't even know if you're good.
But I think he's trying to be, he may have even said it somewhat, tongue-in-cheek, but I think he's trying to be a leader. He's trying to be that guy. Now,
stop it.
I get it.
Stop. just play the game. Prove to me that you're really here to be a star. Prove to me you're really trying to make this team better. Don't sit up here and talk about trash around the locker room. Yeah. Come on, man, please.
Now,
doing too much.
I would say this. Great leadership would be he just cleans the locker room up and says nothing. But here's the problem. I ain't your mama. I ain't cleaning up after you. Have some respect, right?
I would be like, as I'm cleaning up, the only way this is possible. I'm cleaning up. I'm like, hey guys, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Could you guys help me out?
Give me a hand.
Exactly.
Okay, that's
Don't
different.
be like, go up to somebody who's sitting in the tub after a hard day of practice. You're a quarterback. Everybody hates the quarterbacks as it is because they get way too much credit.
Right.
And every
Can't
time,
touch 'em.
like Eli Manning won.
quarterbacks?
Everybody hates the quarterbacks.
I didn't know that.
Eli Manning, he won 2 Super Bowls. Oh, nobody else was out there. He's out there playing tennis by himself. So anyway, hey.
You know, that's the kind of story, though. I'd have to see what Caleb Williams, how he said that. I haven't seen a video of him saying that. I mean, this is how things can get misconstrued in the media. You see the content, take it out of context, which is an overused phrase. But in this case, maybe it mattered. He could have been doing that tongue in cheek. I don't really know. I understand about him wanting to be. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on him to be a leader. I mean, the Bears haven't had a really good quarterback since Sid Luckman. Let's be honest. With all due respect to Jim McMahon, you have to go that far back to Sid Luckman back in the day. And there's a lot expected out of him. Now, this is the kind of thing where I think you need to hear it yourself, you know, because you see the words that were written down, which I didn't even know that story until on the Carton Show until I saw it this morning or heard it this morning. So I don't know. I kind of take that stuff with a grain of salt because it's something that I want to see. I want to see how I'd love to see the video of how it was portrayed. They're making it sound like it was kind of malicious and you're being a disrespectful rookie. And maybe he was. Maybe he was doing. If he was, their interpretation of that, it could be true. But I'd like to see it myself. I didn't hear a lot of other Bears complaining about anything. That's usually kind of a story that if that were the Jets, you would have heard all hell would have broke loose. You know, it would have been kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't heard any other players with the Bears say anything about it yet. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't. Rick said, "What was the story with the reversal?" With
I'm going to get after the break. I'm going to break it all down for you. That was absolutely.
I don't listen. Matt Eberflus, whatever. Head coach, do whatever you want. I don't understand how in the world you do not put in Caleb Williams. I understand Hall of Fame game means absolutely nothing, but it means something when you're trying to figure out this kid and now your offense, because some of these guys on the offensive line are new. So once again, I'm going to go back to these coaches because you don't get a bonus week just because you played in the Hall of Fame game last night, which was condensed anyways because of the weather. Once again, we're back to you're not putting in what's supposed to be your supposed starter, and then what?
Well, I mean, it comes about reps. I mean, Doug Peterson, I think, is doing the right thing in Jacksonville. He's already said, my starters are playing in games 1 and game 3. I don't know how much, but they're going to play. And I agree with you. I don't know how Caleb Williams, he needs reps. He needs reps. And he's, again, new offensive lineman, as you said. He's got some receivers and timing and all that. I don't know how. At least play a quarter or at least play a couple of series, something. Get some experience out there. But, they have the extra exhibition game. They do. So maybe he just sits this one out and he's going to play a lot more. I don't know what Eberflus has in mind. I think Todd Bowles, you heard him for Tampa. Starters are going to play a little bit more this year as well because we've seen it. Because it takes a good month for everybody to get in sync. And that's why the first 4 games are tough. It's very hard to judge any team in the NFL after 4 games, especially it's even more difficult now because of the lack of reps the starters get. The Jets starters aren't going to play. Or most of Aaron Rodgers they already said he's not going to play at all for the Jets, which I think is stupid for the first in the exhibition season. And then he's going to go open up in San Francisco. Good luck. Good luck with that. Anyway, we'll get more into that as well. I will have the whole story of what went down yesterday as a judge rules for the NFL to overturn that $4.7 made-up billion-dollar Sunday ticket verdict by the jury. I'll break it all down for you when we come back. It is the Pete Shepard Show here. It's Friday, August 2nd here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, IonTP.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. Special Olympic edition, number 2. Well, I wasn't going to do anything about transportation, but this is something you couldn't pass up. You know, gridlock getting to Olympics. G7, an Uber Lyft type company, solves that problem. They've been in existence for 50 years or more. Europe's largest transportation taxi company, employing 15,000 people. But get this, they have a deal with the city of Paris where they can use the streets that Olympic officials and police and fire and other important people can use to get to venues. I am going now to the North Paris Arena for boxing. We'll talk about that later. And an hour and 10-minute trip by normal transportation, not the subway, it doesn't go that far out, will take about 30 minutes. So my driver says, yeah, he says 30 minutes. We'll have to see. We're halfway through it. The bottom line is, when 1896, when the Olympics started again, this company was there driving deals. No, not then, but certainly now. It's a new slant on transportation, another convenient aspect of these games. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Sports News Minute, Special Olympic Edition.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Shepherd Show.
Yeah, spazzing out over the new kickoff rule last night, which you need a slide rule and, I don't know, a calculator to figure it all out and what's going to be a penalty, what's not going to be a penalty. That's good luck with that this year. It just looks so ridiculous. I hope this is the only year that they experiment with it, and just, I don't know. It's very, very confusing. And I mean, just the officials alone, what they're going to have to keep track of. I don't know, there's like 7 different things that could go wrong during this stupid kickoff rule. Anyway, Rick says 50,000 people showed up for Eagles camp at the Link yesterday. That's pretty impressive. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it was. By the way, there was I'll have a breakdown later on. It's kind of a fun little thing that I found today as well. What site was it? It was, Dov Kleiman, who's great. He has every NFL, MLB, and NBA stadium, ballpark, arena ranked by average. So from 1 to 90. So we'll get into that. Not going to go through all of them, but some might surprise you, some may not. As these polls, I think, can be subjective. And I don't know what they took into consideration. They ranked everything from Yelp, Google, TripAdvisor, and Facebook. So I'm sure they took into consideration how easy it is to get there, parking, food prices, ticket prices, how you were treated, all that stuff. I'm sure it all came into play. I will tell you this, that Lambeau Field was number 1, and number 90 was the Commanders Field in Washington, D.C., which I am not surprised at.
It deserves to be 98. If you've never been there, and Commanders fans, Redskins fans, don't get mad at me. You guys know this too. Sucks. It absolutely sucks. Because unless you're in the 100 level, anything above that, like the railing, I don't know how in the world they did it, but if you sit literally, if you're not a rail on a 200 level, you can forget about it because you almost have to stand up the entire game to look over the freaking railing. And then it's a horseshoe. The only place that you can walk around is the very bottom. Everything else, you can only go halfway, come back.
Yeah, it's terrible. We saw what happened against the Eagles a couple of years ago. The railing collapsed on what's his name, and
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. I mean, he could have got seriously hurt. And then he was helping people at the end. And also, remember the sewer pipe broke and fucking sewer water was going all over everybody in the stands. I mean, they've had some major, major issues.
Yep, that's what Rick said.
Yeah, well, yeah, Rick just went to the game. Oh, he went to the game. Oh, so you're at that game. Oh, God, that was literally disgusting what happened at that game. All right, everybody wants to know, or a lot of people asking about what happened in the NFL headline. NFL scores huge victory in the Sunday ticket case. So here it is in a nutshell. The NFL gets a big-time victory yesterday. I told you this was going to happen when U.S. District Judge Philip Gutierrez decided to overturn a $4.7 billion verdict against the league that was handed out back in June. Okay, so what does all this mean? So during a hearing on Wednesday in L.A., the league asked the court to throw out the verdict, and after that, thinking things over for 24 hours, Gutierrez granted the league's wishes. In his judgment that came out yesterday, Gutierrez said that the 2 expert witnesses who talked about the financial ramifications of the Sunday ticket used, quote, unquote, flawed methodologies. That's what basically, they made this shit up. The court agrees that Dr. Rasher's and Dr. Zona's testimonies based on their flawed methodologies should be excluded, Gutierrez wrote. And continuing the quote, and because there was no support for the class-wide injury and damages elements of the plaintiff's claims, judgment as a matter of law for the defendants is appropriate. On top of that, Gutierrez mentioned in a separate hearing on Wednesday that he didn't feel like the jury properly followed the instructions it was given by the court when it calculated the amount of damages that the NFL was going to owe in the case, something I brought up yesterday. Over the course of the 3-week trial, the jury had been presented 3 financial models that it could use to help calculate possible damages. And at the end of the trial, Gutierrez emphasized to the 8-person jury that they better not argue when trying to calculate a dollar amount for the verdict. Quote, damages may not be based on guesswork or speculation, unquote. This is what he said on June 26th. That he says, quote, plaintiffs must prove the reasonableness of each of the assumptions upon which the damages calculation is based. I read that quote to you yesterday. During Wednesday's hearing, the NFL pointed out that the jury disregarded the judge's warning. Gutierrez agreed. Gutierrez said, there's no doubt about what they did. They did not follow my instructions. The jury actually came up with its own The jury came up with its own formula for awarding damages, much to the chagrin of Judge Gutierrez. That somehow they got the $4.7 billion for an amount that would have been as much as $14.1 billion. Damages can be tripled in federal antitrust cases. Oh, the jury ruled. It's about a TV contract. The jury ruled against the NFL because they believed the league worked together with its network and partners to inflate the price of Sunday tickets, like baseball collusion. So that's what they believe. And in the 16-page ruling, the judge didn't specifically disagree with the jury about whether an antitrust violation occurred, but he did have issues with other parts of the trial. The NFL said in a statement, we are grateful for today's ruling in the Sunday ticket class action suit. We believe the NFL's media distribution model provides our fans with an array of options to follow the game they love, including local broadcast of every single game on free over-the-air television. We thank Judge Gutierrez for this time and attention to the case and look forward to an exciting 2024 NFL season. The NFL's court victory came less than an hour after the preseason kicked off with the Hall of Fame game in Canton. The $4.7 billion decision by Gutierrez will surely have a lot of people at NFL headquarters sleeping easier. So right now, status quo, YouTube TV, you get the whole Sunday ticket for less than $400 if you get it right now. And, I can get it for $276 because I'm already a subscriber to you. So, but there it is. And basically, the jury disregarded the judge's instructions, and from their own calculations, their formula, quote unquote, their formula came up with this $4.7 billion verdict, which, as you heard, could have been up as high as $14.7 billion in federal antitrust cases. I mean, the jury made it up. I'd like to see the formula. I'd like to see how many of these the jury members, 8 of them, were former DirecTV clients or had anything to do with this stuff. Now, you think they would vet all these people before and dismiss some of them, but if you make up your own formula, enough of these people, Angel, to me, my interpretation is some of these people took it really personally. I don't know how you come up with $4.7 billion. I'm trying to think of what they took into consideration there. They break every household down by a certain amount. I don't know what they assumed. Obviously, they absolutely messed up. A jury that makes up its own numbers. So that's what happens. It's the NFL wins, and I know a lot of people. Maybe some people don't care about it, but that was pretty big. It is a pretty big story, and maybe some people are upset because they're not going to get reimbursed some of the money that they thought they.
You get nothing.
What happened? Everybody, maybe the worst case scenario, everybody will get back like $1. You get $1 back or something like that. That's what's going to happen. There'll probably be damages awarded eventually, and I mean minor stuff.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
You stole Fizzy Wizzy. Oh my God. Oh, meanwhile, all right, 727-858-6650. You got comments on that. Again, thanks for following us here on the Coastal Sports Network video platform, on Twitter X at PChef326, on my Facebook, of course, on ION TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and can't stress enough, get to the SR1029thegame.com webpage, which Angel has done a remarkable job with. Everything is up there. What else you want to get into today about the webpage and the app and all that stuff? You know a lot more about it than I do, but it's an awesome. I mean, everything is there in apple pie order. It's phenomenal.
I will get over this hitter right now. Up on the screen. Come on, switch over. Play nice. This one here.
This is an Angel Martinez demonstration.
Yes.
Brought to you by Powerade Zero.
Oh, there you go.
I just made that up.
Yeah. Well, if they're listening, Gatorade.
Powerade or Gatorade. This is a Powerade, and they're both acceptable to me. I just get whatever's on sale.
Aren't they from PepsiCo? Powerade?
I don't know. Are they?
I think so.
I don't know, but I get 50% more electrolytes versus the leading sports drink.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. Yeah. Powerade. Is it, even though that's Gatorade, but same thing.
Powerade Zero. It's a different company. But I like Gatorade Zero. The other drink, I have to be careful because there's tons of sugar in that. A lot of those drinks. So I get Gatorade Zero, Powerade Zero.
Yeah.
Just as good for me. Anyway, go ahead.
It's okay because we probably were going on with different sports drinks as is. You guys, as we keep mentioning here on the show, and we appreciate everyone who tunes in. Thank you very much for everyone. Going through an explanation here, and I'm going to get over to the sports radio tab, but you guys can, and we mentioned this because the other day when Facebook and YouTube decided to knock us off, this is the reason why I tell you, because you guys can see the live show that's up there. As we are live, the show is live up there on the homepage. Right below it is the text the show, call the show type deal. And then right below that is where you can download the all-new digital sports app. No matter what device you have, one-stop shop right there. Download it, easy, simple instructions. And then when you download it, turn on the notifications in case something new pops up on the website, something else. I don't push notifications out like dime a dozen. Matter of fact, I think I've only pushed out one, and that was to test it when I first redesigned the entire app. So that's there. The Olympic Sports Minute is up there as well with Rick Harlow. You guys had just heard about the transportation, the lineup of shows that come on throughout the day, the schedule, and of course, Ion Tampa Bay, which we're powered by Moynihan Lumber and a couple other folks that have jumped on board here with us. But over on the sports radio tab, this is where it gets a little bit maybe more fun for a lot of you guys. So here you have the live shows again, but here, if you drop down on the menu, you'll see who the host, the co-host, and or producers are. And if you click on the name, it'll actually take you out to their X account. Now, they're not their X as in their former partner, meaning X as in Twitter. Also, the lineup of shows that are there as well, including Marshall's Time Podcast, Let's Chat with Cat and Pat. And you guys can follow them as well. Click on Cat and Pat, and you guys can follow them. Then, if you scroll down a little bit more, again, as a backup is, and you guys can see as I'm walking through it here, the live show Monday through Friday between myself, Pete, and my hermano Rich. Then Lloyd's show on Monday evenings, Talking Hoops here on Wednesday nights. And now the on-demand section where you can get a little bio of our host, obviously their logo, their X account, which I made it super simple for you guys to follow. All you have to do is go right up here and just hit follow. And you can
right there.
Just like that. The instant replay that's available for you guys. So as soon as the show's over, I load up the show. So yesterday's show's up there right now. Today's show will be up there a little bit later on. Oh, and by the way, you go over to the right of that and you can listen into yesterday's audio show. So, and that's for every show that's here on the network. So you guys can go through there, scroll around, take a look a little bit later on, and we'll be updating stuff on CSN Bets, but there's always something for everyone. And when I mean I make it a one-stop shop, it is exactly a one-stop shop. I can't tell you how much my brain was fried last night after setting all that stuff up. So I just make it convenient for you guys so you guys can visit sr1029thegame.com. It's just super simple, interactive. Have fun with it. Let me know what you guys think.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure.
No, great stuff, Angel. I mean, very, you make it so easy for everybody. Powerade is Coca-Cola. Oh, okay. Like I said, I don't really give a damn about companies. I care about sales prices and no sugar in my drinks and stuff like that. And by the way, with this kind of stuff like Powerade and Gatorade Zero, and I see some people do it, it's bad enough when you idiots mix alcohol with Red Bull because that's very dangerous. But don't mix alcohol with Powerade drinks because you're defeating the purpose. You know, you're trying to get more electrolyte back in your system. I know it tastes good with vodka or gin or whatever, bourbon, whatever you're using. But that's my PSA. I'll tell you what to drink and where and why and how. All right. Speaking of that, real quick, got a funny. Let me play my Twitter account. I just tweeted it out yesterday. Jason Light, the GM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tristan Wirfs, of course, signed that huge contract yesterday.
Hold on. Some things like to play automatically. I don't know why.
Well, just
knock it off, will you?
So it's second one down. Yeah, we'll get the Pat McAfee's. No, not that.
No, I know.
I know. I'm just
had to stop the friggin' volume. Goodness gracious.
All right, so yeah, Sean Barry on Fox 13, who follows me, Sports Report. So here's yesterday, Tristan Wirfs, who became the highest paid offensive lineman in the history of the NFL with a huge contract and the highest paid Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Here is he, along with Jason Light, the GM of the Buccaneers, having some fun.
Sorry, we're a little late. I had to change. I didn't want to wear the same thing Tristan was wearing. We get this one done. We should do a boat parade because that's the greatest offseason I can imagine since I've been here. So if anybody has a boat, let me know after this. Our other goal was to make him the highest paid athlete from Mount Vernon, Iowa.
Mount Vernon.
Jason, it's so hard to find good offensive tackles in this league. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, no shit.
But
sorry, we're a little late. I had to change. I didn't want to wear the same thing.
That's pretty good.
We'll hear from Tristan Wirfs next hour because we're going to hear from all the NFL camps, or a lot of them next hour as well. Angel, if we could punch up too, if you could scroll down, it's on Duff Kleiman. I want to put this list up. Every NFL, MLB, and NBA stadium, ballpark, arena ranked by average review rating on Yelp, Google, TripAdvisor, and Facebook. I want you guys to see it if you can. So, and again, I'm not sure of the formula, how they take everything into consideration. I'm assuming how easy it is, which it's not really easy to get to any stadium. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but I'm sure, easiness to get into the stadium, parking considerations, food, how you're treated by the staff at these arenas, fields, whatever, all that stuff. Seat locations, obstructive view, that type of thing. But anyway, number one overall is Lambeau Field at Green Bay, another place on my bucket list where I actually have not been. Number two is PNC Park in Pittsburgh, which I have been to twice, and it is awesome.
Yep.
It is such a great stay. Have you been there before, Angel?
Oh, yeah.
What a great, and it's fairly cheap food and beer wise and all that stuff. A remarkable ballpark, and I hope that Paul Skeens continues to do what he's doing over there for the Pirates and pitching. And it's you want them to be part of the playoff picture for the Pirates. You really do. That park is absolutely gorgeous all the way around. Camden Yards, which I've been to, number three. Yeah, you know what? It's convenient. The Marriott is right there if you're staying there. There's a lot of people, Angel, in the Northeast. Phillies fans, Red Sox fans, Yankee fans, maybe even Met fans. It is actually cheaper sometimes to get a package to fly to Camden Yards for a weekend if your team is playing, and it is to go to Fenway or where the Phillies play and Yankee Stadium. It actually can be cheaper to fly to Baltimore and stay. It's not overly expensive down there.
No, it's not.
Last time I checked. Number four is Busch Stadium, which I've been to. I haven't been to the new Busch Stadium. I was at the old Busch Stadium when the Red Sox won in 2004, but great fans. Number five is Oracle Park out in San Francisco. Number six is Lumen Field where the Seahawks play. Number seven is Fenway. 8, Wrigley. Kaseya Center where the Miami Heat play. Number 9. I'm surprised at that one. I really am. That place a pain in the ass to get to.
It is. A lot of traffic, and it is.
Right, you got to park 2 miles away to get there sometimes.
Yeah.
10, Target Field, which is beautiful in Minnesota. I love that stadium. Moving on, let's see. Some of the Lucas Oil Stadium, number 17. You can follow along. Follow the bouncing ball.
Wow, Citizen Bank Park got 14th. That's not bad.
Oh, yeah, that's where your Phillies play. Yep.
Yep. Coors Field, that's another one. It's in a really good spot in downtown Denver, and it is easy pretty much to get into. But it's funny how if you come in, I got to think now. Let me get if you come in on the west side, if I remember correctly, of the stadium,
West Side.
Yeah, exactly. You come up, it seems like 30 flights of steps to go up. But if you come in on the east side where it's elevated, then you just kind of walk right into the ballpark. It's not bad, but it's a beautiful ballpark.
I have not been there. We were supposed to do our show out there in 2007 when the Red Sox won the World Series and swept the Rockies. You might remember that year. The Rockies they won like 20 out of 21 games down the stretch.
Yep.
And then steamrolled through the National League playoffs until the Red Sox swept them. The problem was the World Series was set up on a couple of days on the weekends on the road, and our show was Monday through Friday. Not that we wouldn't do special shows on Saturdays, but there were Patriot conflicts, and there was other conflicts going on, and we did not get to go out to Colorado like we did in 2004 to St. Louis for the World Series there. But I was disappointed that I didn't get to Coors Field, as I was looking forward to it. But they sent I believe at the time they sent out our buddy Mike Adams, I think, got to go out there and do I think a 1 hour or 2 hour show, but they didn't want to send the whole crew out there because of all the conflicts, and we wouldn't have been able to do a 3 or 4 hour show, which kind of sucked. It's just bad timing. So watch it from my house. Let's see. Yes, in fact, I remember why. Now I remember why, because I was hosting the Real Post Game show on the Sunday that they clinched when they won 4-0. I remember we got out an hour early so we could all get home to watch the game. But also we had to have, usually we did interview myself and Glenn, interviewed Bill Belichick on Monday. But because it was just a weird thing, but I had to interview Bill for like 15, 20 minutes right after the game, and then we left. It was a weird setup that day. But anyway, I didn't get to go to Coors Field. That's what it comes down to. It's all about me. 33 Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Man, the Royals are on a roll. 37 Yankee Stadium, Arrowhead number 38. Ford Field number 43. Gillette Stadium, Foxborough 44. Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville number 49. After that renovation, though, I'm assuming they'll get a bigger kick. Highmark Stadium in Buffalo is 51. Lincoln Financial Field at 52. Thought that might be higher, but again, I don't know exactly the formula. Unlike the jurors, I'm not going to make it up. I don't know the formula. I'm assuming what I said is going to be all part of it: access, food, how the employees treat you, seats, all that stuff, pricing.
You got to figure the price is going to be the big one though, because Citizens Bank Park and Lincoln, they're right across the street from each other, just like the Wells.
Yeah, Kansas City too. TD Garden, which is not across the street from Fenway Park, thank God, but TD Garden is 56. Rogers Center, where the Blue Jays play, is number 60. MetLife is 61. Hard Rock in Miami, 62. Did I miss Raymond James Stadium down here too?
No, 71.
What?
71, Raymond James Stadium.
Just sorry. Yep, thank you for that. Soldier Field, 72. It's falling down. Cleveland Browns Stadium, 74. Guess who plays there? The Cleveland Browns. Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, 78. They've had horrible. I'm surprised at 78. They didn't even have a practice field, right? Did they have to practice in Kentucky? They had to go to Kentucky to practice at some point,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
Paycor Stadium. I mean, I think they finally have practice fields at that facility. That's just unbelievable to me. Now, how Tropicana Field is number 80 and not number 90, or at least 89, is beyond me. That place sucks. Sucks.
Yeah. I can.
Right?
Truthfully, even with NRG Stadium, I'm surprised they had it at 81.
Yeah, I am too. I've been there a few times. I've been there for a Super Bowl, and I've been there for a Final Four.
No, I think the only reason maybe, Pete, is because of the area as far as the traffic. That's about it, because of the times that the games are played.
Well, I will tell you this, and here's the problem with Houston. Wonderful city, wonderful people. Where that stadium is,
yep,
there's nothing around it. There are no sports bars around it. There's nothing there. the closest bar restaurant is like 5 to 10 miles away. I found that out the hard way.
Well, if you include the dollar store, it's kind of across.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that you're going to get at food.
That is. There's not, no, even that is hard to find. But I walked around the whole stadium. I went really early during my final 4 years because when I was there for the Super Bowl, I wasn't there for. I mean, we went through the media entrance, and it wasn't a drink fest because we're working and all that stuff. During the week, we all went out around Houston. That's a different story. But around that stadium itself, there is nothing, nothing. And it is really, if you ever go to Houston to go to NRG Stadium, and you're going to Uber, you are screwed unless you better go way early. And there is only one specific area for Ubers. And I remember the Final Four games, when Miami was down there in Connecticut and Long Beach State and not Long Beach State, whatever. A couple of years ago when I was there, and it took me like 2 hours to get out of there because one of the Uber stands closed and they didn't have one. It was a cluster bleep. It really was all the way around. But nevertheless, expensive as hell in there too. Good God. Expensive as hell, as most of these stadiums are. It's just such a ripoff.
We're going to play, while you go through the thing here, I'm going to bring up the one picture, if I may here.
Sure. While you're doing that, Levi Stadium is 87, Allegiant. Allegiant Stadium, brand new, where the Raiders play in Vegas, 88. The Coliseum is 89 in Oakland, and then Commanders Field at 90. Okay, what do you got up here?
I forgot when I switched it. Let me go back to my photos. So this is where I was talking about over there for Coors Field.
Yes.
So if you park, there's a lot. Like I said, if I'm looking at this correctly, on the east side, you walk straight in and you there's a set of steps you can go right, basically like a ramp to go right in, or you go around to the end of the sidewalk, go down and then walk in that way. And I got to think here. Because there you come right off the bridge there. And then this lot that you're seeing in that picture, do you want to take a wild guess how much that lot was?
50?
$80.
Oh, I believe it.
$80.
I believe it.
We traveled. So if you're down in that kind of lower bowl area to the left, there's like a apartment district or something else like that. There was a couple shops there. There was a spot, and I went inside. I asked the girl, said, "By the way, is this free over here?" And she, the media person hasn't been around in years. I'm like, all right, and that's where we went. So that's where we ended up hanging around. But I'm trying to think. That's the inside of Coors Field, which it's really nice. And we ended up sitting there. So it was the Padres were in town, and we sat in the stadium in a.
Well, what made you go there? You were living in Philly and just said, I want to go to Coors Field just for.
No, so Debbie's nephew Jake and his wife Kat, who just celebrated their anniversary 2 days ago, they were getting married. So we decided to hang around Colorado for a week. So we did the whole tourist thing, went up to Pikes Peak and the whole 9 yards.
Nice.
Yeah, we ended up having a really good time. But yeah, that's the field. I know we got to go into our commercial break.
Yeah, that's right.
And then if in the distance, so if you look where the billboard is, to the left of that, those apartment complex, that's where we end up parking there. But if you keep going around to where the Toyota Tundra is and down, that's the part of the stadium when you come in. It's like either 30 or 40 steps to walk all the way up to it. But I mean, it was such a great friggin' time. People were outstanding.
Yeah, I haven't been there, and I haven't even been to Boulder. But like, I have a few friends that went to UC, University of Colorado, and they absolutely love it. All right, quick break. Bottom of the hour, Jerry Thornton, Barstool Sports, are going to join me. When we come back, we hit a ton of NFL camps. Lots of sound from all our friends in the AFC and the NFC. We'll get to all of that. I am Pete Shepard. It's the Coastal Sports Network. Quick break, back after this.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Pete Shepherd Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
We're not dysfunctional. Well, sometimes we are, but one big happy family here on the Pete Shepherd Show and the Coastal Sports Network. How's everybody doing? Already August 2nd. We are 22 days away from college football's week 0. 22 days away. And I'm happy to report that my good friend Greg McElroy, mostly of SEC Network and ESPN. I watched an hour show yesterday, or most of the hour show. He was doing his own top 25. Peanut Gallery, she was still working, chimes over to me because it was from 2 to 3 yesterday on SEC Network. Peanut Gallery chimes over to me. Why is he talking so much? Because I said, well, this is one of those times Greg this is his own show. He's the only one non. So she said, he's talking an awful lot. I said, yeah, because it's his own gig. So he went through very succinctly top 25. All I waited for is when he was going to get to Miami because he had Florida State at or Clemson at 13, Florida State at 12. Florida State, Clemson at 14, Florida State 13, I believe, and then God bless him at number 12. My Miami Hurricanes. He had him at number 12. By the way, Cam Ward, the outstanding quarterback that transferred from Washington State, that will be there when they whip up on Florida in a couple of weeks. He is the ACC preseason player of the year. I always wonder how they do that. I mean, it's all based on reputation. He had phenomenal last couple of years with Washington State. But I don't know how they determine preseason players of the year when you haven't even taken a snap for your particular team yet. That really counts. But anyway, I'll take it. Any accolades my boys can get, I will take it. And I can't wait to be there in person on the 31st. I'll definitely do some sort of a Facebook Live there, Angel, or something like that when I get there. I'll leave after the show on that Friday, and looking forward to it. What you got?
Before we went to the break, we were talking about NRG Stadium.
Yes.
That's pretty much it right there.
Yeah,
there's nothing there. There's only a shopping center, and it, like I said, there's nothing to eat at the shopping center. It's just a shopping center.
I've never been. I'm trying to think of any. I've been to every stadium around the country, but I've been to a lot parks, arenas, and usually there's tons of sports bars around. Now, maybe they couldn't get the permits. I don't get it. And I'm not talking about inside the stadium, but I don't understand. There's nothing around there. Seriously, it's really closer to 10 miles away from the stadium before you get to a decent sports bar.
Yep.
So if you're lucky, unless you're going to, tailgating is one thing. You bring your own stuff in the parking lot and all that. You better do that because there's nothing there. And I kept walking around the stadium. It took me like an hour to walk around, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be something somewhere. And then there wasn't. So then I Ubered out, and then I came back later on for one of the times I was there for the Final Four event. So, but because there was nothing there, and I was starving, and I was a little parched, and I certainly didn't want to do it. And then there was nobody around. Every time I'd ask somebody, they must have thought I was crazy. I'd ask people on the street, like, is there anything around here? Yeah. 5 miles that way. Well, one guy said, yeah, if you walk 2 miles, I'm not walking 2 miles. Plus, it was in March of last year or 2 years, or whatever it was. It was like 85, 88, 90 degrees that day. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And then the funny part is that you go to up on the screen, you got Minute Maid Ballpark, but there's tons of places to go to around there. That's the funny part is that it's two different worlds, even though it's a 17-minute difference somewhere between Minute Maid and NRG Stadium. But if you go downtown Houston, there's
Minute Maid has a lot of stuff around it.
Yeah. They have a great amount of stuff around there. Then you go the same way. If you go over to the Toyota Center, same thing. There's plenty of places where you can go to, but it was a lot of fun that we ended up going. And then I got lucky because I got invited by Sean Salisbury. You guys know, I was a Minnesota Viking, but I got invited to go up to the iHeart Studios, which was a lot of fun. And then I got on air with Andy Kalu. Great, outstanding eagle. There's a better picture of that one, but that and Big Sarge. Matter of fact, here it is. With Big Sarge, I was able to go on air with those guys, and I had to bring in the Super Bowl championship shirt just because of Big Sarge being a Houston Texan, and then for the Dallas Cowboys. But it was such a great time. But it's just funny though. It's the world of difference in between the two stadiums, in between where you go to to watch the Houston Texans play, and then where you go to Minute Maid Ballpark.
It really is. Like I said, I haven't been to every single stadium, but Trevor, hey Trevor, what's up? Where the Rangers and Cowboys are in Arlington. A lot of places. Most places, most arenas or stadiums have sports bars around it, but Houston does not. It really doesn't. And you know what? Foxborough really doesn't. But actually, I take that back. There's Patriot Place now at Foxborough, which has got a ton of places from Gavio's to regular sports bars. So You can park your car anywhere at Gillette and go to Patriot Place, which is adjacent to it. If it's cold enough, bring your ice skates. There's a skating rink there outside, which is awesome. And they have a ton now. Robert Kraft built that thing up. Incredible. By the way, Trevor, I'm going on Trevor's podcast Tuesday. Trevor, right? You're executive producer of Miami Hurricanes football, I believe. Am I wrong,
Oh, nice.
Trevor? So I'm trying to I was going to reach out to Joe Zagacki for today, but I know he's busy. I'm going to get Joe on next week. He's the play-by-play voice of the Miami Hurricanes, longtime play-by-play voice, but I know he's busy with the Canes at camp the last couple of days. Trevor said, I haven't been back to Gillette since 2015 when I saw the Eagles. Oh, okay. All right.
Is that the Eagles as far as the band or the Eagles as far as the team?
I think it's the band. Trevor is one of the producers, yes. Well, you're the one that sends me all the sound, so not exact, but I help them out. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're my executive producer for official sound for Miami Hurricane football via Joe Zagacki. So I appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm going on this podcast on Tuesday night.
Nice.
So it'll be interesting. All right. I'm going to get the Red Sox report. Eagles Pats game 2015 in December, Trevor says.
Well,
did we win? Must have won. Patriots must have
Eagles won.
No, they did not.
I'm just saying that.
2015, let's see if I remember. No, I'm pretty sure the Patriots won that one, but I could be wrong. All right. Time out for the Red Sox report. They didn't play last night, but the Red Sox report brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastow, New Hampshire. So tonight at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. We just talked about that. Arlington, Texas. Red Sox and the Texas Rangers open up a 3-game series. The Red Sox are 57-50. They're 4-8 overall in the second half of the season. They enter the weekend with some positive momentum. Rafi Devers, as we played for yesterday, hit the RBI double in the 10th. That gave the Red Sox a 3-2 home win over Seattle on Wednesday. Game-winning RBI capped a huge offensive month for Devers, who batted .362, 6 homers, 24 RBI, 20 runs and 10 doubles, 2 triples, and a 1.132 OPS in 24 games in July. I don't know how he's not going to be player of the month. He should be. Meanwhile, right-hander Carter Crawford, who's 6-8 on the year with a very respectable 3.6 ERA. He's scheduled to start on the mound for the Sox tonight. He was roughed up by the Yankees in his last start, 11-8 on Saturday. He allowed 5 runs on 8 hits and 3 home runs in 4 2/3. He's made 3 career appearances against the Texas Rangers, 2 starts, not factored in a decision, as a 3.75 ERA and 11 strikeouts in 12 innings against the Rangers. Not sure if Kenley Jansen will be able to play tonight, the Red Sox closer. He pitched a scoreless 9th on Wednesday, but Cora said Jansen tweaked something in his lower back. Friday's game will kick off a 6-game homestand for the Rangers after playing 3 against the Sox. They'll face American League West rival Houston in the 3-game series. So let me see. And pitching for them tonight is Urena. Where is it? Yeah. He's pitching tonight. Urena's pitching tonight for them. He's 3-5 on the year with a 3.07 ERA. So there is your Red Sox report for today. Brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and in Plastow, New Hampshire. All right. If we may, Angel, before we have to break for Jerry Thornton, let's try to sneak some NFL sound in here. Where it was, just scroll down. DeAndre Hopkins, by the way, hurt his knee yesterday. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Justin Herbert is going to be out for a while, too, for the Chargers, but he's supposed to be back for game 1 against the Raiders. But first cut, Angel, Baltimore's Lamar Jackson says he thinks about losing in the AFC Championship game every day.
Ooh, hold on. Let me go back to Chicago. Baltimore, where are you?
Let's scroll. It's after the DeAndre Hopkins story. It's all the NFL sound. It's first cut.
Lamar Jackson. Here we go.
Yes. Yep.
But how much do you think about that AFC Championship game as you get prepared, obviously, for week 1, but more importantly, for the end of the season?
I mean, I'm very competitive, and I hate losing, so I really think about it almost every day for real. It's like, we were so close, but, it's a new season. Can't dwell on the past, even though I still do a little because we were so close, but new season, new opportunity. That's how I look at it.
If you're going to use it as a motivational factor, I guess. Otherwise, you can't let games like that get in your head. You can't. I suppose the great ones like Brady, Manning, and Elway, I guess tough defeats. Maybe you can use that for a little bit of motivation, but you can't start thinking about that stuff every day. Otherwise, it's gonna cloud your judgment. Here's an interesting one from the Buffalo Bills wide receiver, Keon Coleman. It's the next cut angel. It's just an interesting cut. Check this out.
I heard you got a new dog, Scooter. Can you tell us about the new dog?
Somebody said. Character, bro. Remind me of myself. He's just destructive.
Yeah.
So, being a new dog dad is fun. I love it.
How do you balance that, being a dog dad and obviously being a player?
It's like the same way our bodies go on the schedule. I get him on a good schedule, making sure he eat before 6 a.m. Before 8 a.m. I feed him by 6, 7. Take him on a walk, make sure he use the bathroom, give him some water, he go back out, but then give him a few snacks, he gonna go to sleep. And then after he wake up from that one, he'll get playtime, he'll eat twice a day, good meal, so he's good, he's spoiled.
You said he's wild, kind of like you. What are the similarities in the personality?
He wanna destroy everything. He wanna chew everything, he wanna play all day. So like tug of war, that's his go-to right there. He'll tug of war with your slippers.
Yeah.
He probably got 3 pair of my shoes out there already. For what, bro? For what?
That's hilarious. Obviously, off season, you do a lot of activities. I heard you had played some pickleball at Nike Ones with Justin Herbert and Michael Pittman. Can you maybe tell me what that experience was like?
Me and my agent versus anybody and their agent. Pickleball, we winning. It was fun. That was my first time ever playing it. So we was improvising, we was communicating. We looked like a team out there. The third time we played Justin, bro, dude like he about 7 foot in front of the net. He's just standing there. We like that got to be illegal, bro.
Yeah.
So we ran into some struggles with him and Micah. Micah trash, so he trash. He was just, he was like a background singer, but we were winning, bro. We beat everybody.
Absolutely. So it was just Herbert's length that maybe gave some issues, but y'all overcame it.
Yeah, pause.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Man, if I'm an NFL player, I'm not playing pickleball. I swear to God. I mean, you are risking life and limb. And ironically, Justin Herbert gets hurt yesterday, not playing pickleball. But who knows? Maybe he tweaked something because that's who he's talking about. That's Keon Coleman playing pickleball with his agent versus Justin Herbert and Michael Pittman. Thanks for NFL Network for that. Interesting stuff. Meanwhile, my buddy Mike Petraglia on X.com has this little nugget. Cincinnati's Joey Burrow on being ranked 39th in the NFL top 100 player rankings.
I think I'm obviously better than that, but when you're not playing, I didn't exactly have a season that would have put me any higher than that. So, when you're hurt, you can't really complain much about any accolades or anything like that until you go out and improve yourself again.
Does that motivate you at all, or is it just...
I mean, maybe it motivates you for a day, but that's not what... I don't think you can continuously rely on that kind of motivation. You have to be intrinsically motivated to play at the level that I want to play at and be as good as I want to be. So that only motivates you and takes you so far. I'm sure I will. I don't know if want is the right word, but it's always nice to get the first one out of the way. I don't know. I wouldn't say I have one that stands out right now. Maybe the one at Trent Irwin, 7-on-7 last, I think it was. All days kind of running together, but I was happy with that one. Yeah, I think so. I guess you never know, but couldn't hurt.
Play anything else?
No, not really. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks to my buddy Mike Petralli on X.com for that. Joey Bo, we're getting Mike on next week as he covers the Cincinnati Bengals and the Reds. Next couple of that, always a treat. Detroit head coach Dan Campbell loves everything about Jared Goff.
Talking about golf, to be able to man, he found a home, right? And he found it with us, and he was meant to be here. We were all meant to be together, and at this time, at the right time, and make something happen. And man, he really has, man. He's embraced everything about it. And somebody asked me yesterday, you know, what more can he do as far as the type of player he is? How much more is in there? And I said, man, I believe there is more in there. He's an accurate passer, and his intellect of the game has grown so much every year. I mean, we're getting to the point now where I feel like he's 3 steps ahead. And that's the growth that a quarterback can take. You know, now you're talking about the Drew Brees type players if you can get to that range. And that's what's still left for him to get to that I think has grown every year.
Great. All right. If we could scroll a couple more down before we head to the break. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, Angel, a couple down. And the RV experience in California. This from Sirius XM NFL Radio.
Is the RV still parked down by the way?
Great question. No, the not in the RV anymore.
Okay, all right, we moved on.
Yep. Sarah Harbaugh came to town.
Okay,
and
wasn't into the RV life. All
no,
right.
but I have to tell you that it was the simple life is the best life. If I could give you a piece of advice, if I may, the simple life is the best life. It was incredible. I really, really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, or fortunate, blessing or curse, either way. I mean, got a job.
That's right. That's right.
But gosh, the simple life just wasn't in the cards so far.
Hey, you know what?
Maybe someday.
A couple of Super Bowls, you can get back out in that RV.
No problem. That's my Popeye laugh. Do people know who Popeye is in their 20s, you think?
Probably not.
Eat your spinach. That's why I loved spinach as a kid, because of Popeye. As long as it had some butter and a little olive oil.
It is some good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. All the sound you're hearing, courtesy of Total Sports Prep. It's awesome. For the best articles in audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. The staff combs through the best articles in audio so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them, info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. Jerry Thornton, Barstool Sports, up next. He's been covering the Patriots at camp all week. Plus, we'll get our usual entertainment breakdown with him. I'm hoping he has seen Deadpool and Wolverine. Maybe get a review on that. And, of course, life, liberty, and happiness, everything that is all about Jerry and Barstool Sports. Part of the Pete Shepard Show next on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. Special Olympic edition, number 2. Well, I wasn't going to do anything about transportation, but this is something you couldn't pass up. You know, gridlock getting to Olympics. G7, an Uber Lyft type company, solves that problem. They've been in existence for 50 years or more. Europe's largest transportation taxi company, employing 15,000 people. But get this, they have a deal with the city of Paris where they can use the streets that Olympic officials and police and fire and other important people can use to get to venues. I am going now to the North Paris Arena for boxing. We'll talk about that later. And an hour and 10-minute trip by normal transportation, not the subway, it doesn't go that far out, will take about 30 minutes. So my driver says, yeah, he says 30 minutes. We'll have to see. We're halfway through it. The bottom line is, when 1896, when the Olympics started again, this company was there driving deals. No, not then, but certainly now. It's a new slant on transportation, another convenient aspect of these games. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Sports News Minute, Special Olympic Edition.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You want the best in sports and entertainment? You got it. Now, back to the Pete Shepherd Show.
Here on the Pete Shepherd Show, it is Friday. It's already August 2nd. Football is underway, although nobody on the planet understands the new kickoff rules. I know that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman last night didn't understand it. I didn't understand it, and I hate it. But the person that I don't hate, just the antithesis of that, somebody that I love, is the one and only Jerry Thornton from Barstool Sports, one of my favorite people on the planet. Good morning, Jerry. How are you? Do you understand the kickoff rule?
Hey, good morning, Pete. Happy Friday. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And no, I haven't the first clue. I know this. The XFL inspired this. and they quickly scrapped it because they determined correctly that it's garbage. And the NFL has proven that there's no idea so awful, then they're not willing to give it a try. And it reminds me of, and this might be a little bit obscure, but on Monty Python, they did a skit. It was kind of a recurring gag where the ladies auxiliary drama club or whatever doing their reenactment of the Battle of Pearl Harbor. And it was all the Monty Python guys in dresses just swinging purses at each other and rolling around in the mud and stuff. And that's what it looks like to me. Like you might as well just do what the XFL first said they were going to do, which is put a ball in the middle and have everyone just go running after it. But hey, nothing's on the table in Roger Goodell's America.
Well, I wanted to ask you, you've been covering the Patriots, you've been at camp, and there's very few people I trust because I know there are certain agendas at certain outlets, whether it be local, regionally, or nationally, when it comes to, the Patriots and stuff. You've been there. I've seen some great video from Drake May. We've seen some great video from Joe Milton III, and, I understand it. Anytime I hear Ben Volen talk about the Patriots, I take it with a grain of salt because I don't know how much of it is hatred or how much of it is real. Fact or fiction, Jerry, in your opinion, who's had the better camp, Drake May or Joe Milton?
Okay. Briefly, with regards to Volen, who I'm friendly with, he and a lot of guys in this market, Felger being probably the best example, they start from the premise of everything's terrible and then work backwards to see, okay, how do we arrive at the conclusion? How do we justify our hypothesis, which we have already proven that everything's terrible? So May has had his struggles. He's better than Joe Milton. We kind of people are glossing over the fact that Milton has as many interceptions and a lot fewer snaps and more mental errors and more false starts and whatever. All of which is fine with regards to both guys. Milton was a 6th-round pick with a crazy impressive arm. I just tweeted out this morning, he threw a deep pass and I just said, look at this and tell me that the human arm is capable of doing what
he just flicks his wrist. He doesn't even like it. It's not even, he says, and I started at Tennessee. I mean, I watched a lot of college football. So, I mean, I'm very familiar, but they both have strong arms. I think Drake May's power, the way his arm got talked about a lot is he's got a very strong. Milton's he's godlike. It's just
Mays is really impressive. Milton's is metahuman. The reason he was a 6th-round pick is because it needs refinement. Mm-hmm. Drake May, as we speak, it's Friday, August 2nd, which means we're exactly 4 weeks away from Drake May achieving his 22nd birthday. 22nd. Yeah.
Exactly.
Everyone loves to talk about Tom Brady and how he came into the league and whatever. Sure. He won. He sat for a year. And 2, by the time he was taking his first snaps as a starter, he was already 24. That's a huge difference. When I was 21 years old, Pete, you didn't want me taking care of your houseplants while you're away, right? Much less running an offense. And already in Boston, there has formed, and this we're talking 6 practices in. Today will be the 8th, also meaning it's the 3rd in actual pads. The media has formed what I'm calling the Drake May Panic Industrial Complex, and it is producing at a high level. Not everybody. There's plenty of normal people capable of saying, look, let's look at this in perspective. Everything's new. There's a new coach bringing in a new system with new blocking assignments. He worked in North Carolina under 2 different systems, an air raid and then one that was kind of air raid light or whatever.
He lost a bunch of receivers last year, and that were
was never under center. They were always in a spread. Now, as far as we can tell by looking at what Cleveland has done the last 2 years, Alex Van Pelt is bringing in a system where they're going to be under center a lot. It's going to be outside zone runs, which is all based on precision and reps and everybody on the line knowing exactly what they're supposed to do. I guess I'm cursed, Pete, with this gene that allows me to let's cross that bridge when we come to it.
Mm-hmm.
But other people just don't have it. Like,
but you're experienced, Jerry. I mean, all we have to do is go back to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All we have to do is go back. If you're a Patriot person, whatever, or even if you're not, just a football. Go back to Drew Bledsoe. Go back to Terry Bradshaw. Go back to Filson. Go back to a whole bunch of people. How would this New England media have reacted back in the day when Bledsoe and Myra, Bledsoe rightly so, number one, Parcells takes over as coach? What do you think? Bledsoe just came in there and lit it up? No. But at the end of the season, He was terrific. Now, he had also banged up a little bit that season. But he had his ups and downs the first 4 games. I remember opening up against Detroit. I remember playing Pittsburgh early on in the season. He gave them a battle. They were different because of Parcells coaching them, but they didn't win a lot of those games. But he was in there. Troy Aikman went 1-15. How do you think the New England media would react to Drew Bledsoe's first year back in the day? And the people, Troy Aikman went 1-15. I didn't think he was going to survive that year.
Sure. And I'm glad you mentioned Bledsoe. He was hurt. He missed a lot of time. And I'm convinced, was at the time, that he got healthy and was still sat on the bench for a while to just kind of learn while watching or whatever. Yes. Yeah, there you go. And so he comes back. I think he was 1-11. And then win their last 4 games. And it's like, okay, we got a thing we can build on here. And take a more recent example. Do you think if you grabbed Andy Reid right now and said, did you make a mistake by sitting Patrick Mahomes on the bench as a rookie? I'm pretty sure it'd say it's worked out well. Like that plan was okay. Being patient with them. Now, that was a better team, okay, which is all the more reason for the Patriots to take their time with May. Because as we speak right now, we don't know that they're a good team. They've got a completely rejiggered offensive line. It still hasn't sorted itself out. It might be chaos for the first month or 2 of the season. We don't know. What I do know is we've got exactly the kind of bridge guy that you want at quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. They signed him to a 1-year deal precisely for this reason. Like, the plan hasn't been disrupted even a little bit. This was the plan all along. But Gerard Mayo was asked, mini camps, like, well, do you think May could start? He goes, look, if he comes in here and sets the world on fire, sure, we'll consider it. And, if you're a real demagogue, if you're really trying to rile up the imbeciles so they'll call you up and, his Steve from Quincy or his Joe in the bar or whatever, you'll lean into that and go, hey, May said he could start, but he's a failure. Are you panicked? We have open lines. And
these people would not have survived the Bledsoe era. Some of these people, they would not. I don't know what they would have thought. I mean, if Bledsoe came in today's game, like they would expect the Patriots to go 15-2. And they just don't understand the development of younger quarterbacks. And I think they want everybody to be like Patrick Mahomes. That's not going to happen.
Sure.
It doesn't. It's just not going to happen.
Or they expect that everyone's just going to be, dropped in there, plug and play, NFL ready, with no concept of whether or not he's still trying to learn a system, if the entire roster is still trying to learn a system. And it's completely antithetical to everything that he did in college that he was really successful at. So give him time. And what's wrong with the patient approach? Like, for crying out loud, do we think like this is going to cost them a playoff spot? A chance to make a deep run to get to a Super Bowl if they take their time with Drake May? I compared this yesterday to a reference that you'll get. It would be like if Yoda, after a couple of weeks on Dagobah, told Luke Skywalker, you're good enough. You haven't mastered the Force yet, but why don't you just go face Vader right now after a couple of weeks of stacking rocks in a swamp? That way lies suicide.
And we all know when Yoda, took Luke's plane out of the swamp and guided it with the Force, and Luke's sitting there, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
Yeah. No try. There is no try.
I say that to Angel all the time. Because Angel always says, I try, because I told him, Grady's, and I said, no, you do, like Yoda. But it is interesting. I always thought in Star Wars it was interesting about how you're too old. He's too old to start the trading. Well, if you get the Force, you get the Force. What do you mean? Is it going to be like strengthened with your pituitary gland or something like Firestarter? Like Drew Barrymore? Well,
Did you develop too many bad habits? We can't work on his lightsaber arm angle. We'll never be. He's got to learn to proper footwork to lightsaber duel. If I can mention real quick, a week ago tomorrow, so last Saturday, I was at down Cape Cod for the Cape Cod Symphony playing Empire Strikes Back with a full orchestra. And it was amazing for a couple of reasons. George Lucas has said those original movies, are basically silent films, meaning the dialogue isn't as important as the visuals and the music. And listening to this, and the conductor came out right off the bat. And he said, "We're going to be exhausted at the end of this. There's nothing like trying to play this." And as it all unfolds, I realized it's probably the greatest orchestration in movie history, and it's constant. It's relentless.
Well, it's John Williams. It's John Williams.
Yeah,
that's him. I mean, him and all the Jurassic Park and the Indiana Jones. He is the most brilliant composer of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube as a channel where he talks about music, and I know nothing about music, but I love listening to people discuss it in depth. And he declared John Williams the most popular musician of all time, and it's hard to argue it. Like if you go to Tibet or like Sri Lanka or like Polynesia, Micronesia, and you play this and you go, "Hey, what is this?" And he's going to go, "Oh yeah, that's the Imperial March, Empire Strikes Back. Sure, I love that one." "Oh yeah, that's Leia's theme." And I mean, even just like the song, the music from the background while they're going through the asteroid belt is just bananas. It's all so good. So yeah, and it's funny. I've been seeing that movie for 44 years now. It gets better with each viewing.
I agree. The New Hope, except for the lightsaber fights in the New Hope, weren't particularly good. Because I want to bring up something, but before we get to Matthew Judon, I just wrote it down. What is it? What did I want to ask you? And as far as I think one of the most underrated symphonies in Star Wars that he did, John Williams did, and you got to watch the video. It was right before the Phantom Menace came out, and that thing I remember working at the Cluster in Boston at the time, and there was also a classical music station. That song on the classical music station was on all the time. And you have to see when he's doing that in that video, John Williams conducting not only the orchestra, the chorus that has but you can't understand.
The song is Duel of the Fates is what it's referred to, and that's still the gold standard of all lightsaber fights. Darth Maul and I don't
know. But Luke, I don't know. Obi-Wan and Anakin and Revenge of the Sith was pretty. I got to tell you, Acolyte, I thought was fantastic. Maybe I don't know if you've seen Acolyte yet.
I purposely gave it a good leaving alone, Pete. I'm glad you liked it. It just seemed to me like as I watched the trailer, I said, "Show me where the fun is in this." Okay, I like the dark themes. But it didn't seem like there would be one single moment of just kind of levity or friendship or excitement.
There's some of that. Remember, it takes place 100 years before A New Hope, or the Phantom Menace. It takes 100 years before the New Hope. Now, the lightsaber fights in Acolyte, Jerry, and do not say this lightly, especially the last two episodes, might be the two best lightsaber fights in everything Star Wars. Blown away at the choreography and how they did it. And here's why you have to watch the series. I don't care if you just watch hit the recap and watch the last episode. At the very end, one of the masters, and I forget her name, who's obviously a Jedi, and when the first season is about to end, she walks in to this cave-like place, very little light coming in, and says, "Excuse me, master, may I have a moment of your time?" And all the camera starts to fade out, but all you see are those ears and a little green head from the back, and you know it's Yoda. So he's going to be in C. So that was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. The lightsaber fights were off the chart. You would love them. Off the chart.
Okay, I will give it a shot on your recommendation. I've fallen down the rabbit hole of a lot of YouTube channels just reviewing it and saying like this is changing the lore, this is changing the canon, this isn't, okay.
No, because you get the timeline. You get the timeline. So a lot of people don't understand the timeline, but you get it.
Okay, if there's if it's nearly as good as another recent performance I saw. I'm not kidding you. A friend took me to this thing at the Huntington Theater in Boston. It was called Empire Strips Back. And it's a whole burlesque show. I kid you not. Sexy stormtroopers, like sexy lightsaber fights, freaking Princess Leia in the slave girl bikini and stuff.
Oh my God.
More women in the audience than men. All very tasteful, but I was like, okay, somewhere Kathleen Kennedy is like just feeling a great disturbance in the force. Like, what are they doing with this property that I spent $2 billion on? But okay, if The Acolyte had nearly as many laughs in it as that did, then I'm in.
Couple of things. Bob Heidelberg, our friend, he says, hello, Jerry. May the force be with Drake next year. That kind of stuff. Yep. All right. So, Gerard, I knew this would get resolved, but give me your thoughts. I think you were there at the start of this with Gerard Mayo, Matthew Judon, and he's not in pads and everything else, and it got probably a little more publicity than it should have. Maybe a mistake on Gerard Mayo's fault. But anyway, I knew they would kiss and make up, and he was back at practice yesterday. But your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, Matthew Judon has been such a force for good. Over the 3 years he's been here, he's not only been the best player on the team overall, he's just that guy who brings that positive energy. Yeah. You should see at camp when he takes the field and goes right over to the crowd and starts interacting with them, and they just go nuts. It's like the baby face in wrestling, in the WWE. He's throwing footballs back and forth to him. Love the guy. Love his production. 3 down defensive end. One of the best free agent signings they've had. And I can see his point. Everyone around him has gotten an extension. This team has extended more guys and given them the coveted second contract than Belichick would get like in a decade, all in one season, just one guy after another, all except for him. And I don't know how much he's asking for. He has said he wants to retire here. He just wants to play here the rest of his life. So I don't get why the negotiations have been dragging out, because no one's discussing figures. And he did the only thing that he can do, the only leverage that he has, which is skip a practice. Did he show up Mayo? Yeah, I suppose. But Mayo said, look, if somebody wants to come, and I was a player, I know how it is. If you're frustrated, I'm not going to tell people not to express themselves. I think he said, I'm not going to tell them to put a cap on that or whatever, even if they want to come out and say, I hate Gerard. Okay, pretty self-effacing there. As far as the team's approach, I look at the other direction and go, are they wrong to be reluctant to sign him long-term? He turns 32 in a couple of weeks, which doesn't sound old, but 32 for an edge rusher, that's the age that J.J. Watt retired. Aaron Donald just retired at 33. So my guess is the team is reluctant to say, do we want to have this guy locked up with a lot of guaranteed money when he's 35? Like, what is the happy medium there? But yeah, to your point, I do like the fact that they said, okay, I had my, I was demonstrative. I sat out of practice. Now let's sit here and work this out. I'm going to keep showing up. Don't want to be a distraction, because if he continues this, there's only one way it ends, and that's them trading him for some pizza coupons. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because when you're 32, your contract is up, and your team is in a position where they have no choice but to move you, then it becomes a seller's market, and they're going to end up taking 5 cents on the dollar for him. So yeah, continue to hope that it's just going to be a thing. Like it's going to be a camp dust up and we'll forget all about it. I mean, they had them before. Vince Wilfork was really mad about his contract. Logan Mankins went.
Well, his wife was really mad. But Vince's wife, Bianca, she was the boss of that family. Still is. You do not want to fuck around with her. I'll tell you that.
Although I did find out recently that they're no longer together, which is sad.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
he was doing an interview. I think it was on NFL Network, and someone said, "So your lovely wife Bianca, you have a fantastic relationship." He said, "We do. We're no longer together." It's like, okay, boy, did they keep that under wraps? Because I was as surprised as you are right now. But you could see where she was, and I know some people work for the Patriots and said, yeah, she was force of nature, like in a positive way, just one of those strong, independent women who don't suffer fools gladly or whatever. So
she was his Luca Brasi. I mean, she protected him like unbelievable. Honestly, I mean, she was intimidating person all the way around. But sweet too in her own way.
Exactly, one of those people that's so kind of charming and charismatic that you don't realize you're dealing with a mother bear who could who could gut you in a second. Yeah. So you just, wow, isn't she sweet? Wait a minute, don't mess with this woman. So yeah, they've had them. It was a really contentious situation with Wilfork, and then he not only got a second contract, he got a third one and was here for 10 years. I imagine that both sides of this thing are realizing, look, we've got to work this out. I mean, they have the cap money. I think they're just trying to get a team-friendly deal, and I guess in that respect, I don't blame them.
I still remember the day they drafted Wilfork. It was a Saturday afternoon. I had a bunch of people in the North End over at my condo on Prince Street, and not just because I was a Miami Hurricane fan, but because teams were stupid enough not to draft him, and there he was available. I think it was at 16 or 18. I can't remember. All I know is
21. Believe it or not. And he was expected to go at like 6. And like every mock draft had him going to a particular team. It might have been Cleveland, but don't quote me on that. And when they passed, I remember looking at the rest of the board going, they're going offense. They need a quarterback, one right after the other. I said, they might get Wilfork. And without trading up, they got a guy who's in the Team Hall of Fame. It was exactly what they needed because they had just lost Mount Washington.
Yes.
And
he was awesome, by the way.
He was fantastic for that one season. He was great. Yeah. A couple of my favorite Vince Wilfork stories, real quick. One, when that guy, I forget his first name, but Shapiro was a big booster of Miami and was just famous. But he went to jail eventually. He handed out checks and jewelry and whatever anyone wanted. And Wilfork and Bianca were already married and had kids. And he never lied about taking the free stuff from this guy. But what he took was a washer dryer. Like I love that's the most perfect like suburban dad thing of all time. Oh, you need the major appliance. And 2, he once after an AFC Championship game left the stadium and came upon a flipped over SUV, flipped over on its side, and like with his wife and kids in the car, fished this woman out of her car. Like after he's going to a Super Bowl and he's probably saving a life. And I'm surprised we even heard about it because he strikes me as the kind of guy that would have not said anything about it. I think the woman ended up telling the world, like, this is the guy who like bailed me out. So yeah, friggin' love that guy.
I remember that day. It was like it was yesterday. I had about 7 or 8 guys in my neighborhood, all Italian guys, and the North End. We were all sitting together watching. I was working at EI, but I had the Saturday off, and it happened. And all I know is I was like, "Oh my God!" Next thing I know, I'm on the bottom of a pig pile as everybody's celebrating, and there's meatballs and pizza flying all over the place, and it was that was something. But before I let you go, one last entertainment thing.
Yes.
Last Saturday, Classic was a little rough for me because I lost my 14-year-old Scotty Terrier, Chara, after close to 14 wonderful years. So my wife and I wanted to get away, peanut gallery as I call it. And so we went to see the 11 o'clock a.m. show here in Fort Myers at Gulf Coast Center of Deadpool and Wolverine. right up your alley. It is fantastic. It is so well done. The humor in it, from Rip and Fox and getting Marvel rights, they come on, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman come on in costume right before the movie starts, and they do their own PSA about why the fuck you should shut your cell phone off. It was a good 2 minutes of that, and then the movie is hysterical, full of little innuendo lines, ripping different directors and people and stuff like that. There's a few surprises in it as well that I think you like. It's very colorful language. There's more F-bombs in there than Scarface. I'm not kidding you. The gore is the gore because both of these guys are indestructible unless you cut their heads off. So basically you're there. They go through the whole thing. He starts the whole, I won't ruin it by, yes, you're probably wondering, how does Wolverine get back to life? They go through that and everything else, but you will love it. You have to stay through the end. If you get a chance, I know you're so busy. I recommend it highly.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. My brother called me from the parking lot leaving the theater. My brother Jimbo to tell me, you've got to see this. He said it's one of the funniest movies of recent memory. It's putting the superhero genre back where it needs to be. And I loved how when Marvel was hitting on all cylinders, really before they started stepping on their own dong every time they put out another $200 million like crap fest. Deadpool needed to come along exactly when it did, because it took it to the next stage of its development, the whole genre, which is R-rated, inappropriate comedy. You know what I mean? Sex jokes, graphic violence, kind of like what The Boys was doing on Amazon Prime, but in the theater. And the second one, there was a lot of problems with the production. I think Ryan Reynolds wasn't happy with the direction. He got it back on track. They got rid of the director, whatever. Terrific sequel. And so this just seems like the perfect way to work in that whole multiverse thing based on what I've heard about it, and make fun of it and crap on Marvel for the terrible decisions they made.
He brings all of that up in the movie.
So glad to hear it. Marvel needed that smack in the face before they start trying to bring back some stuff that has been done really poorly so far, like the Fantastic Four. Like, great franchise, iconic, one of the cornerstones of the comic book superhero industry. Never been done really properly. So I'm glad they got this wake-up call from a guy that they had to do business with. I'm sure, again, Kathleen Kennedy didn't want to have an R-rated violent comedy filled with sexual innuendos under her banner, but you need this in order to survive. So good for Ryan Reynolds, good for Hugh Jackman, man. I love those guys.
I agree. They were absolutely outstanding, and you got to stay till the credits at the end. By the way, speaking of the Fantastic Four,
yes,
there is a character that will make an appearance from the Fantastic Four in this movie.
Ooh, okay. Nice teaser. I appreciate that. Now, if these two guys could get together somehow and fix Batman and Superman, I'd be really appreciative.
Well, I don't know about the new Justice League before I let you go, but I did know Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Dr. Doom, and I was reading all this insider stuff about how, again, because of the timeline, is he actually going to be Tony Stark removed from a timeline? Is Dr. Doom actually a hero in one of these other timelines, but has to face the Avengers coming up? It looks like that's going to be really, really interesting. And then the movie after that, probably another 4 or 5 years, is the Kang dynasty.
So they canceled the whole Kang thing, and their whole next phase was going to be based on that guy until the actor who plays him got convicted of domestic violence. So they noped out of that. So now the next one's going to be Avengers Doomsday.
Yes.
So Dr. Doom, who's the greatest villain, certainly in Marvel. I mean, Joker and him.
But he was a Fantastic Four villain.
Yeah, he kind of fought everybody. There was a comic series, and I know that once you start talking about superhero comic series, it's the leading cause of feminine dryness in America. So I apologize to your audience. But it was called Secret Wars, and it was a limited series where everybody in their universe was put on a planet to battle it out, good versus
That's what
evil.
the name of the movie is going to be, Secret Wars. That's what
Exactly.
the name of the movie is going to be.
And Doom just kind of rose up as the uber villain and all that. So he's fought everybody, and it's a brilliant character because he leads his own country in Eastern Europe. His mom made a deal with this devil character called Mephisto, and now she's living in a hell dimension, and he tries to get in there to rescue her, to bring her back to Earth. It's freaking it's a great character. And when they did it in the Fantastic Four movie, the one that had Michael Chiklis in it, and Chris Evans, they reduced him to being one of the guys on Nip Tuck who was flying around on like a flying wing going, "You want to go for a spin, Richards?" Like, wait a minute, what? This guy was like this brilliant genius who, who knew the metaphysical realm or whatever. And like, okay, so it's weird that they're bringing back the main character of hero side to play the new main character as a villain, same actor. That's a weird choice, but maybe it'll work out. I'm gonna trust that at least they got a great movie star to play this role, and we'll see how it.
You'll like it. It's not. You'll see there are connections between the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and obviously the Avengers. You'll see a little mini connection throughout the whole movie, and it's fantastic.
And
Jerry,
let's hear it for the yellow suit. Bring back the yellow suit. Good for you guys, Pete.
He explains what do you got coming up this weekend, or what do you want to plug here? What do you got going on?
Yeah, well, I've got a bunch of comedy shows coming up. I'm going to be at Knockabout, which is in Mashpee on that's going to be September 13th. I'm going to be up at the Hampton Beach Comedy Festival in New Hampshire. I'm looking forward to with an all-star lineup of guys. And I'll be at Barrel House Z in Weymouth. I just started booking this. It's October 4th and November 11th. So 2 shows a month apart. And also enjoying the hell out of my summer, man. It's been beautiful up here. Glad to have football back, but I'm going to do everything I can to, chew all the bone off the month of August and then eat the marrow.
Because it'll be snowing in September.
That's
where
right.
you are.
Thanks,
Jerry, you are the best. I know. You're the best, Jerry. Thanks so much as always. And check Jerry out on Barstool Sports, barstoolsports.com. I haven't seen any big bets from Portnoy lately, so I'm sure he's slumming these days.
Very struggling to make ends meet.
Hope my buddy Kirk Menahan is doing okay. Seems to be doing fine with his stuff as well. Glad it's all going well for you guys. You're kicking ass.
Yeah, and to all the women in your audience, because all my friends' wives want to know about this, Miss Peaches is doing great. The dog Miss Peaches is the biggest star in the Barstool universe and stuff. And, hopefully isn't going to get my next bonus. But, that dog is an internet superstar. More power to her and to Dave.
Peanut Gallery keeps me updated on that every day. Yeah, so it's very funny. Jerry, you're the man, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much for taking a few.
Much obliged, Pete. Have a great summer.
You too. All right, that is the one and only Jerry Thornton from Barstool Sports. Always absolutely hysterical. Sorry if we nerded out too much, but this is my show. I can nerd out as long as I want, and stuff's important. I mean, you gotta know these new Marvel updates and what to expect, and it's almost as important as football. Angel Martinez is being back aboard.
Well, hold on. Speaking of Char's mom.
Yeah. Says Hobbit is very happy. Peaches is doing great. Oh, Hobbit meaning my friend Kristen, I believe. She keeps track. That's right. It's Kristen, my friend Kristen. She's great. I call her Hobbit because she's so funny. She's from Maine, has the thickest accent on the planet, and her great boyfriend, Jay, great people. They lost their dog recently, too, a couple months ago. So we're all kind of going for the same thing. But Hobbit is very happy. Peaches is doing great. Peaches is have you seen Peaches on Barstool? Legend. Check it out if you can. Just crazy.
But check it out then.
All right, Angel, quick break and come back. And I know you've got stuff to do. You're not on today, right? You're off today. And I know... Right, you're not on today, right? From 10 to noon?
No, because I still have a couple of things to wrap up on the site to make sure that everybody gets entertained and have fun. No, we will not have any kind of burlesque shows or anything else on there. But He's got some stuff to clean up and do and make sure that it all looks fine, wonderful, and dandy.
Awesome. All right, we'll come back and wrap things up here. I've got some closing thoughts about everything. And so stay tuned. That's coming up next here on the Pete Shepherd Show, the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, IonTP.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Pete Shepard Show.
All right, final few minutes or so. I want to get to some stuff, Angel, more back to the NFL. Pete Shepard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out, especially on the video platform. Following me on Twitter, X at PShep326, at Facebook. Of course, at Sports Radio 102, SR1029thegame.com. Outstanding stuff. Ion TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube. You can call or text the show, 727-858-6650. That is the number to call. Angel, I wanted to get back, if we could, to some NFL sound. Close out the show. I wanted to get to some of these cuts, and then I want you to, we'll close out with Pat McAfee yesterday, which is very interesting. If we could scroll down to, we had just, before Jerry came on, we had talked about Jim Harbaugh's RV experience. Now, right below that, Tyreek Hill, he did something interesting, invited a YouTuber to experience practice with him. Talks about that.
I can't believe I'm asking you this, but there's a YouTube guy who claims that he's going to race you today. Is this the first you've heard of it? Do you think I'm crazy or?
I think you're crazy still, but what's crazy is the funny story is I actually invited him out here to practice. I didn't say I was going to race him, but I did say I was going to invite him out to practice, and I told Coach to put him I told Coach to put him in shoulder pads. I want to see how he do out here with us the whole day, the group of receivers. So, I mean, just to mix it up a little bit, change it up, change his little lifestyle up, see if he can hang with us in the sun.
And what became of that?
He didn't show. He did a no-show. So that's all I can say. Well, hopefully he'll come tomorrow. We'll see. Sorry.
Well, okay, that's interesting. Number one, I hope he wouldn't race him. God forbid Tyreek Hill pulled a calf or a hamstring doing this stupid little thing. The Dolphins would have a fit. Number two, the guy, if he does show up, Angel, you got to sign a huge waiver saying if you get hurt, we are not responsible for anything. I mean, I don't know how that works technically, but it must be a bunch of paperwork that he's going to have to sign. Or maybe it's just one sheet that has everything listed. If this happens, or if you dislocate or pop anything or hurt yourself or break your neck, we, the Miami Dolphins, are not responsible for you.
Yeah, I would think so.
Interesting stuff. All right, and then right below that, let's hear from, we just talked about with Jerry Thornton, Gerard Mayo on his conversation with Matthew Judons from Patriots.com.
I'll tell you this, it's, first time head coach and first time in pads, I always remember what happened that day. And saying that, look, we had a conversation, I have a great relationship with Matthew, I have a great relationship with the players. But we're moving forward and we're trying to work out.
I know you can't get into specifics, but how would you characterize that conversation with Matthew?
It was good. It was healthy. And I always encourage those guys to come in and speak with me or speak with Elliott. And that's what it is. And those things should happen inside of those walls.
It also must feel good to be able to get some kind of closure with Devon.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I mean, that was a long process, but I'm glad we got that deal finished. And once again, it goes to the point of, we want to sign players that we know that still have good ball.
And my good friend Christopher Price in there from the Boston Globe with a couple of great questions there to Gerard Mayo. Let's see. 2 cuts down after that, Angel. Ryan Clark on ESPN. 3 bold predictions for this upcoming NFL season.
All right, so Houston Texans, they're going to the AFC Championship, and I've told you guys this the entire time. And I believe that they have an opportunity to win it. When you look at this team and the way they set themselves up throughout the offseason, I believe Nick Caserio, the GM, he believed this as well. You don't go out and acquire Stephon Diggs if you don't. You don't add those pieces defensively. And so I expect to see this team playing in the last Sunday of the conference championship. And Jaden Daniels is going to have that C.J. Stroud type of year.
That feels bolder. That feels bolder to me.
He's going to be that guy that we're talking about going into next year with a chance to launch himself into the upper echelon of quarterbacks. I just left Commanders camp, and everyone is raving about the person he is, and we've already seen the player. And Justin Fields is going to lead the Pittsburgh Steelers to the playoffs. That's right. That means first he has to become the starter, which he is. And then when he becomes the starter, he has to get into the playoffs, which he is. Mike T always feels a competent team, a competitive team. Now he's going to have a dynamic playmaker at quarterback, and they will be in the playoffs.
You okay? You feeling feverish?
I'm good.
No, he's good.
I'm good. That's like dark roast coffee bold.
That is bold.
Really? Dark roast? That's all caps bold. Smell it.
Smell it.
Smell it. Right below that, yesterday, we broke the story here after Adam Schefter broke it, but then I broke it for you immediately about Tristan Wirfs, a great offensive tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, signs that huge 5-year, $148 million extension. Here's Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, talking about it.
A massive deal for a massive man and a massive piece of everything that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to do. Tristan Wirfs, their star offensive tackle, is now the highest paid offensive tackle in the NFL, which really seemed like a matter of when and not if. Mike, this was one where the Bucs knew that it was going to be expensive, and they knew and believe it's going to be worth it. Gets 5 years, more than $140 million, so north of $28 million per year. Gets $88 million guaranteed over the course of these 6 years. He's going to make $158.86 million. Wirfs has been, of course, very famously, you were in Tampa a couple days ago. He has been a hold-in. He has been attending meetings. He has been there, has not been taking part in full, I guess not hold-in, been practicing some, but not been taking part in full practice. Now he's going to practice because he is officially locked in for a very long time.
So there you have it. Thanks there. Jerry says Mayo is weak. Judon won't be the last challenge to this position. No, it's you can't. You're not going there yet. I mean, it probably could have been made a little less public, that first initial. The bottom line is, Jerry, they're going to get it done. He's going to get signed, and he's not going anywhere. Just got to keep him on the field. He missed 13 games last year, Matthew Judon. If it could, Angel, a couple more things on my Twitter page. I just tweeted out from Get Up a little while ago this morning on ESPN. The questions concerning, of course, because when Greeny is hosting, about Aaron Rodgers and about the Jets. Should be the first story under the show. If you refresh it, it should be the first story under my pinned thing with the show. You see it from Get Up this morning?
Yep.
Let's hear the propaganda by Mike Greenberg and some of the people that are on the show from this morning about the Jets.
Look, every single season, let's be serious.
No, it's not up there, Angel.
Every single season, 2 or 3.
Give it a second because it's up on my end, so I'll wait for it to make sure it's up on your end. As it pops up, let me know.
There we go. It's good.
Look, every single season, let's be serious if we can for a minute. Every single season, 2 or 3 teams have their years just completely wrecked by injury. You never know who it's going to be. Football is a game where people get hurt all the time. It's just bad luck. Last year, the Jets were one of them, and it happened immediately, and so it was excruciating. But if something like that doesn't happen, then, I mean, realistically, I think the team is too good to be bad. I mean, it's almost impossible to picture.
And the reason why I asked that question, I love what Teddy said. We know it's a big deal that has to do with Aaron Rodgers. But, you know, you talk to so many Jets fans and you hear from them. We were in the stadium last year. I just want them to understand how good this football team is. Like, they are elite now when it comes to positional strength, unit strength defensively, offensively. The offensive line was re-solidified. Obviously, we know what Aaron Rodgers is. Breece Hall is a top 2 to 3 back in the NFL. Garrett Wilson should be unlocked this year when it comes to us talking about these number 1 wide receivers that are explosive. And a lot of people are going to say, well, it's the old Jets, and it breaks my heart to hear the fans say that, because I don't think you are taking into account how good this football team is. They are good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Again, on paper, I understand. I respect all the points everybody's making. I understand that. They should be a serious contender. They should be. Much as I make fun of them, I agree with Wagyu, with exactly what he's saying. They should be a playoff. Super Bowl, I don't know. Let's see how the first few games of the season go. I still worry about chemistry a little bit with that team. On paper, they're fantastic. There's no doubt about it. As much as I make fun of them, they are on paper arguably one of the most talented teams in the league, I think. But again, talent, best players or the right players. Herb Brooks, again, we shall see. We shall see. And finally, Angel, we could scroll down again one more time on Awful Announcing. Pat McAfee yesterday brought up a great point. This has been a very much talked about story. Weighed in on the Algerian Olympic boxer, Imani Khalif, yesterday. Men versus women in boxing in Olympics. This is just ridiculous. She took one punch to the face, and so here's Pat's reaction.
Who's our Jake Paul? Even he put up a post yesterday, which kind of surprising by him as well. But he was like, listen, you got to stop this whole wokeness nonsense, because he said it's not right for a man to go into the women's boxing ring and go out there and anyways.
Yeah, I know. It is what it is. Here's Pat McAfee in his response.
The women's boxing, I haven't done enough research. I saw that the International Boxing Association deemed a couple of the boxers that are in the Olympics, still in the Olympics, not eligible to box in women's boxing because they had too much testosterone, or they were deemed a male, I believe, from XY chromosome, from the research that I've done. So now we're watching the Olympics, and this Italian girl has made it. She's boxing, committed her whole life to boxing. Committed her whole life, this girl. Her dad passed away, I do believe.
Yeah, very recently.
Very recently. I assume her and her dad I assume this is a big story. And then all of a sudden she finds herself in the Olympics moving forward, and she has to fight somebody from Algeria who has been banned from other competitions because not woman enough to compete. And then 46 seconds into her Olympic fight with this woman from Algeria, basically taps out, broken nose. Then afterwards she cries and she's like, I've never been punched that hard in my life. And it's like, for me, I know this conversation has been happening for a few years. I just don't understand how we got to this point. And I am coming from a very empathetic point of view as well. Because as we all kind of learned about the transgender situation that was happening for people, I think we're all incredibly bummed that would be terrible. If your soul did not match your physical body, that would be quite a conflict every single day. I have no idea how that would test you in the morning. Every day you wake up, you're just not who you're supposed to be. I have a lot of empathy for that. But the soul being of a different sex of your physical body is something that people much smarter than me are gonna, have to talk about. But when it comes to sports, it's like the physical body, especially in these physical, is the one competing. So I think there should be some sort of conversation there, especially at very, very high levels, because whenever you're talking about Olympics and dreams and chasing, that girl bawling her eyes out from Italy, it's like, think about her entire life was committed. Then she gets into a fight with somebody who physically is going to be, more capable just throughout history than she even has the possibility of being. If you just look at a simple stat here, let's just do the swimming. Okay, here's the women's swimming gold medals times from this particular Olympics, and then the men's swimming gold medal times from this particular Olympics. And we're talking about the best in the world. There's a couple Olympic records in here. There's a couple world records in here. We're talking about the best of all time. The men's ones are faster. That is just natural. And there's a women's basketball, there's a women's golf tee, women's volleyball. The net is a little bit lower. These are things that have just been happening since, the beginning of sports. And then all of a sudden now the conversation has turned no, there is no difference. It's like.
Yeah, I mean, that's we could debate, we could discuss the trials and tribulations of men becoming women but staying men, and vice versa, and men competing in women's sports and winning. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Like I said, it'll come to fruition someday, huge, when a baseball player who's a man goes to a softball team and starts hitting 8,000 home runs a game. And it'll happen too also when a man goes from Division I Power 5 school to a Division Women's I Power 5 school. Then all hell will break loose. The swimming, as much publicity as it's gotten with going on in Princeton and all that stuff, it's because it's not a revenue-driven sport. Wait till it happens, and I hope it doesn't. But maybe when it happens in basketball, D1 basketball and D1 softball and baseball, because that's the only other two sports I could see it really happening, all hell's going to break loose. But anyway, we digress. There's your Olympic update for the day. The soccer team, by the way, which they are 0-0 with Morocco, Angel, in the 25th minute. Can we win the gold in soccer? I think we're still alive for it.
We're still alive for it.
Yeah, they run, and it's a quarterfinal matchup. So win this, and then the semis, and win that, they're in the finals, and gold medal for Team USA.
Be
Who
nice
knows?
after all the time that we've been suffering with the former coach. Hopefully, the new one now has reinvigorated this team to be able to do so to do well. I know last night we ended up watching, which the only thing that kind of sucks is obviously during the day you find out exactly who won, but it was nice to see last night Simone Biles on the floor exercise, and it has to be tough. Like my lovely wife and I had spoken about last night. It has to be tough when you know that don't know exactly how to do it if they drew straws or not, but you're the last one to compete on the floor exercise. But her routine last night was spot on. And then the women with the balance beam, holy moly's, man. It's me, and I've never done it myself. But the one young lady, I forget it, she might be from Algeria, did a running kind of cartwheel backflip onto the beam. Like, you have to be out of your mind. But she landed it fine. It would have been me. I'm pretty sure I would have split, my legs, and the rest is history.
Landed it. I told you in gym class in elementary school, they'd have the balance beam, this high on the ground, not even a foot off the ground.
Right.
That was enough doing that. I remember trying to get on it, and I was like, this is nuts. I'm gonna fall and break my balls, literally. I mean, I know what's going to happen. I don't know how these women do it. I really don't. I think it's the most incredible thing in sports. We could sit here and talk all day about hitting a baseball, football, basketball, hockey. I think the most incredible thing in any sport is to watch women on the balance beam.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I really don't get it. I don't understand it. It's phenomenal. It's like you're watching a video game.
Yeah. Well, it was between that and then also the uneven bars. I think it's the same girl from Algeria and then the young lady from Brazil. Both of them were swinging around and going from obviously the higher uneven bar to her lower one. Like if they were running in an Olympic track. It's ridiculous what they can do.
Amazing. By the way, Olympic team is favored, I think, by 33.5 this morning. We're going to play Lithuania. Puerto Rico, which qualified for Paris with an upset win over Lithuania qualifying tournament last month. They're 0-2. They have the worst point differential. Sorry about you, but Puerto Rico, Angel. I know you've been watching them. And has the worst point differential in the Olympics at -52. Team USA is favored by 33.5 points. Oh, so they're taking on Puerto Rico today. But Drew Holiday got hurt, which I didn't know. Drew Holiday tweaked his ankle, a minor ankle injury against South Sudan. He was supposed to start today, and he's questionable for tomorrow's game. I don't want him to play. Don't play. This is what I'm afraid of. I don't want my guys hurt for this overrated exhibition tournament, which is exactly what it is. I don't want him hurt. All right, Angel. I think that's gonna do it. You got stuff to do. It is Friday.
Yeah.
I can promise you next week, the great Ernie DiGregorio is going to join me on Monday. I know Mia O'Brien is definitely joining us on Tuesday, and a whole lot of other guests that maybe you haven't heard from in a while. It's going to be outstanding. Angel, what's coming up on the network later today?
Today there'll be some replays again of Let's Chat with Cat and Pat. Got the newest episode yesterday, so that'll be up and running for later on today. Jonathan Marshall also sent me his latest update as well, so that will be up there later on. And then some other stuff that I'll be working on throughout the weekend. As always, the work never stops. It is what it is. But yeah, that's it. And everybody, enjoy your weekend.
Awesome, Angel. Great stuff. I will talk to you later today. I'll text you later today. I'll certainly give you the guest list coming up on Sunday. Have a great and safe weekend, everybody. Football is back. We'll have lots of NFL and college football discussion next week as well. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking us out on the Coastal Sports Network and across the video platform. I'll be back Monday at 7 a.m. As always. Bye.